And hello, everybody, and good evening from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. This is 31 more days with Brian and Ed. Day 1,400 of the quarantine across the United States. And let's welcome in everybody's favorite Baldy, Ed Troop.
What's going on? How is everybody?
How are you, man?
I don't know. I'm a little concerned. It didn't sound too good coming from you to start out this broadcast today.
You know what? I think I've hit the full Groundhog Day of this. Like when I woke up today, I just thought, oh God, here we go again. Can't leave the house. Get the kids starting to their school thing, whatever that is. Here's the coffee brewing. Like it literally is Bill Murray Groundhog's Day. And I don't know. I think tomorrow I'm just going to sleep through the whole day until we do this show.
Yeah, this has been kind of tough, right? I mean, this is kind of the highlight of the day. We both have talked about it, is coming on here at 7:00 and being able to talk and hang out and have some good conversation in and around things. But it is definitely Groundhog's Day over and over again.
Yeah. Let's say hi to some people watching. Hi to Ryan, Jen and Mike, my favorite couple. Jennifer Hartong, JJ. Hi, Marcy. Hi, Heather. Hi, TJ. What a show tonight, Ed. And I feel like this is a makeup show for you tonight. For those of you, just so everybody knows, Ed is such an enormous Steeler fan.
There it is. Wait a minute.
He loves the Steelers.
There it is.
And so when we had Jeff Reed on last night, Ed I know that he had questions ready. He was prepared. He wanted to, I know you wanted to handle this like Pompiani or Al Michaels or somebody going into this. And Jeff Reed was just everywhere. Your first question to him about football was, how's retirement? And he was like, retirement from what? We are still living in this world where and like it was just off to the races. And there was a lot of interesting football stuff, but I felt bad because I don't know if that's what you were looking for last night.
Well, towards the end, right? I mean, towards the end, he kind of flipped the switch and gave us some football insight for a little bit. But yeah, it was interesting because I thought with Reed, I kind of assumed we'd be going off the handle a little bit. We'd be talking about current events and other crazy things that happened in his career. But me, man, I'm a big Steeler guy, so I'm excited to talk to Ray tonight to get his insight on the Steelers. So I'm pretty pumped about that. But with Jeff Reed, it was just some really specific questions that I would ask Jerome Bettis, Hines Ward. I would ask your neighbor that played football, our buddy for Georgia Tech. I asked him the same type of questions.
Yeah. Hi, Ginny. Hi, Steve. Hi, Natalie. What's up, Gary in Florida? Hi, Mark. Hi, Robin, my beautiful neighbor. Hi, Susan. Hi, Lena. Hey, Kristen, Jack, Holly. Welcome to Quarantine Talk. Hope you're enjoying day 1,420. But yeah, Ed, so tonight we have from the Post-Gazette, Ray Fittipaldo, who covers the Steelers. So I'm just going to let you do your thing. But here's I only want to ask you once. Don't get too nerdy on this. I think people are already stuck in their house. Like, I can't talk about the third round of the draft. I just don't put me through this.
Well, I sent you some notes that I took today. Again, I don't have anything.
I know. And the first thing was like, who are we going to draft in the 6th round? Like, please don't put me through this.
I just took a few notes on kind of what's going on at the Steelers right now, so I don't lose track. But yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, if somebody wants to truly hear sports talk, they could turn on the radio these days and find any of it.
What's a radio?
True, right? Go on your phone, I guess, because you're not in your car anymore, right? I mean, I've missed out on 3 weeks of Howard Stern now because that's when I listen to Howard is when I'm in the car and I have no clue what's going on.
Hi, Carl. Thanks for being here tonight, checking it out. Hi, Dan, all the way in the north side. Gretchen, Jessica. Oh, my friend Jeannie's listening and watching from. I knew her when we worked together in Atlanta, and now I think she lives in. Alabama, I think. So, hi, Jenny. Good to see you. Hope you're doing great. We're going to have John Klein on in a moment. We're going to reset John. His thing is weird. But hey, Ed, quickly before we bring John Klein in from the legendary John Dave Bubba Shelley show here in Jenny just said she's coming at you from Georgia. So she's back in Georgia. Hi, Jenny. Great to see you. Jenny told me a great thing. When we moved to Atlanta to do radio, Jenny and I were at some concert, and she said to me, she goes, here's all you need to know about living in the South. Everybody thinks you're making fun of somebody else, but not them. And I said, what do you mean by that? She goes, well, everyone in the neighborhood will have their truck up on blocks, and you can make fun of it because they'll laugh and think you're talking about everyone but them. She was right. She was right. She absolutely was right.
So that's
Hi,
Southern hospitality, right?
yeah, absolutely. Hi, Colin, my old neighbor. Sean. Hi, Amy. Amy, Kevin. What's a big crew tonight, Ed?
Big
I think
crowd.
everyone wants to hear Ray Fittipaldo. I think this is a West Allegheny High School crew that wants to check out to see what Ray has to say.
Ray's a West A guy, right?
He is, of course. Hi, Jody from the Dollar Energy Fund in Point Park College. Ed, how do you feel right now? Do you feel like you're in the middle of does this, like, when you wake up, do you think like, oh, welcome back to hell?
I just feel like it's like a countdown, right? You just in the back of my mind, each day I wake up, I'm just counting down in the back of my mind, like how many more weeks, how many more days are we stuck here at home? And it's not even about, our careers are on hold right now. I don't know if anybody knows that, but we're kind of handcuffed in the real estate world. And so it's not even so much about that. It's just the fact of like, I want to go watch a Pirate game. I want to take my son down to the baseball fields and practice with his team that we drafted 2 months ago that has never even touched the field yet. It's the small stuff like that you really want to get active with, and you can't. You're just sitting here in your house all day and being safe. However, I will say I'd rather be inside here, not going anywhere, than have to be out like some of the people that do have to work. And
right.
Possibly
your
be
essentials.
exposed.
Are you talking about the essentials?
Yes. And
I wish I was essential. I'm jealous of people who are essential. Like, I wish that I could be out there just, going to Dunkin' Donuts, being just essential. Like the governor pretty much put me in my place. I am non-essential.
Well, I mean, I'm a mess. Today we went and did a Giant Eagle pickup where you pull in, call the number, you put your hatch up, they put the groceries in, the hatch goes down, and you leave. So there's no interaction at all. It's a beautiful thing. But I was still paranoid with hand sanitizer, came home and scrubbed my hands, even though I had no interaction. So I would be a complete mess right now, I think, if I had to head out and work and actually do something.
Okay, yeah, tell everybody, and we're going to bring in John Klein, who's also in quarantine. But let us know right now, just to keep a good grasp on what's going on. Who are you more annoyed with right now, your kids or your wife?
Well, that's a toss-up. I would say my wife, because I've had probably more interaction with her than anybody. I mean, the kids, you have a quick like half hour to do the schoolwork, or maybe you're giving them lunch or an afternoon snack, and then they're off. They're over playing Xbox, and I kind of feel guilty as a parent too, because I'm relying heavily on the Xbox and the Switch these days.
I'm trying to think what I'm going to get the Nintendo Switch for Father's Day. Thank you for being a great father to my kids.
Like the first week, I was all like, "Oh, let's do these puzzles, let's do these board games, let's."
I did a scavenger hunt for the kids 3 days in a row. I did a scavenger hunt.
Everything.
Right. Now the new scavenger hunt is, guess where Dad's hiding? Which bathroom is Dad hiding in on the iPad?
That's right. It's like, here's your snack. After you're done with your snack, feel free to go back to the Xbox or the Switch. No worries.
All right, let's check in with a good friend of ours. You know him as the longtime host of the award-winning Pittsburgh legendary John Dave Bubba Shelley morning show on the Killer Bee, B94. Let's welcome in John Klein. Hi, John. Uh-oh. I can't hear you. Wait, hang on.
Wait, how about now? Can you hear me now? You can hear me now, right?
I can hear you. Wait, you're on a rotary phone?
Yeah, you said we would do this on the phone. So if I take the phone away, then when it comes back, you can hear me, right?
Is that a red phone?
Commissioner Gordon's on the other line.
Yeah, I was going to say.
That's the old red phone joke you taught me.
Thank you. It did look like the Commissioner Gordon phone. How you been, John? How are you holding up in quarantine?
You just mentioned it's like Groundhog Day. I have cleaned my garage for the past 5 days.
Okay.
And today I got to the point where I sorted brands of golf balls. That's how I'm saying.
By color or by brand?
By brand, yeah.
But you do like the ones that are new, the ones that are old?
No, I just brand. But in case anybody's wondering, Titleist outweighs all the rest by like 60 to 1. So. I do. I have a hobby. Picked up a hobby while we're under quarantine. Would you like to?
What is it?
Well, you really want to know?
Oh, no.
Oh, you're going to a little song.
Yeah, well, yeah, I can't sing, but I can play. So can I play something for you guys?
Yeah,
Let's
please go ahead.
Okay, we'll start with the Eagles Hotel California, and well, it'll just be the instrumental part, and then we'll go into. I know you like REM, Brian. So here,
I love REM.
and I'm just learning. This is only like 2 weeks worth. So here we go.
Okay,
All right.
get it. Well,
How's it sounding so far?
it sounds really clear, really crisp.
This is the hard part. Okay, how about some REM? Here we go.
Yeah, do REM, but that was really good.
I know you love REM.
What song is that?
And that's all I know.
Oh, life is bigger. Wow, John, impressive, man. Now it's only been 3 weeks, and you're already doing some of the like true classics.
Yeah, that's all I can do so far. That's only like 2 weeks worth. So yeah.
John, I'm impressed, man. Good job.
I'm getting some comments about my hair again. John, are you doing any self grooming? My wife cut my hair yesterday. I thought it turned out pretty good.
Wait.
Are you doing any grooming?
We need to discuss your definition of pretty good.
This doesn't look good to you.
You know, you can stop. You know, first we do something with the beard. You look more like a schnauzer. I haven't seen you in a while. It's
schnauzer,
and it's one of those. We're watching Tiger King. He has the dark stash, which is what you have.
Right.
Somebody posted that today. Somebody posted
and then he threw it out.
That's how it started, just like that.
You feel like I'm on my way to Tiger King if this grows any longer.
Well, it's just the dark. He doesn't have the beard. He just has the dark mustache that goes down the Fu Manchu, which you have.
Yeah. Have you got into Tiger King? I got Ed didn't do it. He finished it. Did you like it?
Yeah, I have one more episode tonight. It's entertaining. I don't think it lived up to the hype that everybody was hyping it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, for sure. And do you think if we weren't under quarantine right now that the Tiger King would even be worthwhile? Like, would it be as big?
Probably not. I mean, it's a hillbilly. I grew up in West Virginia. I mean, I know a lot of guys like that.
I was going to say, you're used to that.
What's that?
You're used to that type of setting.
Yeah, lions and tigers in the backyard, lemurs. Yeah, it's pretty common.
So that when you watch it, you're like, oh, this feels like home.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Gunned on your side, driving a
shirtless dudes walking around with tattoos everywhere.
Just like Brian's house.
That's it. Hey, let's say, hey, my man Mike Kyle's watching. Hi, Jason. Hi, Amanda. Ed, your old co-worker, Amanda Webster. Hi, Joe.
There's
Jan.
Amanda.
Wow, what a crew tonight, John. You must bring out all the groupies. You still have groupies? Are you still recognized by your voice from the B94 days?
Well, Brian, in addition to B94, I worked at multiple radio stations and KDKA television also.
That's right. You're on the infomercials that I know a lot of people love.
That's right. Yeah.
Commercials. And I do the voice for the CW network here in Pittsburgh. So, yes.
Can I do my impression of you doing the CW voiceover?
I would love to hear this.
Because it's a little more high-pitched than your normal voice.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No,
it is.
No.
And then you see like the clip of Everybody Loves Raymond, and then all of a sudden you hear this. You go, that's Everybody Loves Raymond tonight on the CW at 8 o'clock.
No.
What's the car one that you do?
What's that?
The car one. The car dealership.
South Hills, Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge. Yeah. Kia. Yeah.
You still do that?
Been doing that for years. Yeah.
Now that one's more intense, John. That one's more, you see the Kia go by, and that one sounds like you're there. You got 30 seconds to live and you want to get all your information out about the Kia.
That's my serious read.
Oh.
John,
so not just B94. We hear you all over now still.
Well, and I was on 3WS until the radio industry capsized here this year. So yeah, it's over.
Radio's dead?
We've talked about this. I don't know. It's changed so much that who knows where it's going to end up. It's never going to be the same. I was thinking the other day that, when I started at B94 in 1985, and we had probably 15 DJs.
Wow.
And now a radio station might have 2. And a lot of smaller markets have none. Everything's, brought in from another market and replayed. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? Nobody knows the difference to the average listener, but a lot of people have lost their jobs because of technology.
You wonder if you can still do the show that you did, John Day Bubba Shelley, with news and information and stuff, because now any piece of information everybody already knows. So it's not like you can tease any story anymore, right? So no one's sticking around to hear. Maybe they'll hear your opinion on it, but like, I'm sorry, man, it's just like this phone has
Right.
potentially killed that entertainment field.
Well, and it's a thing too, where the phone, and you and I have talked about this, Brian, where younger people, even millennials, and you have younger kids than that, they consider radio their phone. So radio is now a broad term for Spotify or Pandora or iHeart, any of the apps. So if people are listening to the radio, they're not just listening to a frequency like what we used to. So it's changed a lot, but it's technology in any industry. Your technology has changed, where when you close on a house, you used to have to sit down and be face to face and sign things. You don't have to do that anymore because of technology.
Well, there was a time where you had to, turn the radio on or turn the 11 o'clock news on to find out who won the Kansas City Boston game, or pick up the newspaper the next day and read about it. Now it's all on our phones instantly. I mean, you get
Right.
play-by-play updates instantly on your phone. So it is definitely evolved, and people need the information instantly. They can't wait.
Well, it's a thing where it's just technology, where, it happened to the car industry years ago, where how many guys built cars and ladies built cars, and then the computers took over on the robots. So it's the way things are. So the radio industry needs to kind of figure out where they're going. And now they're downsizing even more because there's no ad revenue because of what's going on in the world. Nobody's buying ads on the radio. There are going to be a lot of changes coming up this summer with over the air radio. And I think,
John, when I was in 3rd grade, I listened to you to make sure you said Holy Trinity Grade School had a snow delay.
that was awesome. You'd sit there crossing your fingers. It's like, please. But think about that. We would.
And then when you would get to it, though, like if you missed Holy Trinity Grade School, like if you were like Hawaiian school, and then you were like junior cat, I go, wait, did he say Holy Trinity? Did I miss him here? So then I'd have to listen again.
But think of that, where you would have to sit there and listen to 600 schools for a half hour to hear if your school's delayed or not.
Yeah.
Right.
Come on. I think KDKA AM still does that. Why?
Wow, really? Who's on? Who replaced Shumway now on KDKA? Larry and Mike?
Not up that early. I don't know.
There's a new guy.
Kevin said podcasters go to pick up and you can pick up, stop, and leave wherever you want 2 hours later. That's Kevin's take on the podcast. Jason said it's an instant gratification culture now, which is true. It's hard to sit through commercials. And when you have access to every song in the world on Apple Music, I mean, it's like thrown at a dartboard. Yes, I may like the song that a radio plays, but nothing's going to hit the song like the one I want to hear immediately, and I can get it now.
I think that's a thing where I had a great radio career. Will I ever be on the air again anywhere? Who knows? And it was a lot of fun, but it's so different now. And you had the same thing, Brian. You had some big success, and Ed, you've done a lot of radio. But it's something now where you just said it. Why listen to a station for free and hope to hear your favorite song when you have a million of all of your favorite songs on your phone? Why sit through something? And I think, too, the big thing that's really changed over the past couple of years, we're now a subscription-based population where, we subscribe to Netflix and Hulu and Showtime and HBO. It's going to be the same way with music, where we're going to subscribe to, we already do it with Sirius Satellite. So we've already accepted the fact that we can spend $5 or $10 a month to hear all the entertainment and the music we like. So for regular radio over the air, it's going to be an interesting future. I don't know what'll happen.
JJ said, great radio, but there's nothing like listening to a baseball game on the radio in the backyard. I agree. I still think there's probably a station that still deserves to be on to play baseball and listen to it in the summer. I thought it's still pretty cool.
But there was a thing that was just announced this year. The Oakland A's are not broadcasting any of their games on radio.
Oh, really? Wow.
So think about this. I think, Brian, I think you and I talked about this. The way that you'll listen to Oakland A's baseball, they'll still have play-by-play, but you go to their own app. So the Oakland A's control their own app that maybe you subscribe to or download. What happens when the Steelers come up with the Steeler app and stop broadcasting on commercial radio?
Why pay for it, right?
They already have.
You pay $10 to listen or whatever, or the NFL creates the NFL app, and everything's going to be subscription based.
The Steelers already have their app, and they have something streaming within that app of the Steelers radio network, SRN it's called. And all it is, I don't know, it's 2 or 3 people, not the Pompianis or Hillgrove or any of those guys. It's names I've never even heard of. And weekly, they provide programming of interviews, exclusive interviews, though, because they're working exclusively for the Steelers. So they're letting them into the locker room. They're letting them do interviews whenever they want. So, John, that's an interesting point. I'll be very interested to see if that's where that's going to evolve to, team by team, sport by sport.
Well, it's all going to come down to revenue, where if a team or a league, if Major League Baseball can create an app and you log in and listen to your team, they control all the ad revenue. There's nobody local out selling the ads. And that's what drives radio or television, the ads. If those go away, what happens?
Ginny, who's listening in Atlanta, who was a salesperson there, so she'll appreciate this. When I was in Atlanta, I was on 96.1, and there was a cluster of 5 stations, 2 Spanish, 1 news, 1 country, and us, which was a rock station.
You weren't on the Spanish station?
Well, they wanted me to be on, but as Ed knows, we failed Spanish together. They weren't bringing me on. But there was the big nightmare of what, for some reason, it was a Clear Channel station or iHeart or whatever it is now, but they bought it. And so the Braves broadcast had to go somewhere, and the Braves blew like the Pirates blow now at that time. So every station was just praying that they weren't going to say, hey, we're going to make an announcement that Braves baseball is going to be on the rock station, because the ratings would be so bad, because I guess still with books, people would turn off, or they wouldn't want to listen to baseball at 11 o'clock at night. So they turned to something else, which means they didn't turn on me in the morning, and then they listened to something else. And man, baseball was like a ratings killer, at least in Atlanta. And maybe if your team's good, it's a little different.
I think baseball here does very well on the fan, but I think a lot of it too, and with all of these sports, with Pitt sports and the Steelers, you have to run other shows related, not just the game. And no offense, how many people are sitting there listening to, I don't even know who plays second base for the Pirates anymore, but if he has a show.
Come on, it's Adam Frazier, John.
Okay, the Adam Frazier show, Saturday at 10 a.m. Are you going to listen?
No.
Are
you?
Well, of course I would, but yeah.
Of course. Of course.
Changed where it's going to come down, and I'm guessing that the sales rep in Atlanta, they're all these radio sales reps. We have a good friend who told us yesterday some of the ad rates in Pittsburgh are literally pennies on the dollar compared to what they were before for some of the top stations, because nobody's advertising now.
All right, so Kevin is saying the only way I listen to Steeler games live out of state is on a computer. Mobile app SNR is a play service, or maybe he meant pay service. And TJ just said the one Steeler app streams DVE. I use it on my Bluetooth when I golf, but that's still getting rid of the middleman. So kind of sucks, though. It will never be the same. And if there were, when you think of entertainment-based radio, if you are doing things like the good old John Day Bubba Shelley show or morning zoos, there's a lot of theater of the mind. And now people will say, show me the video of that. If you did that, show me the video. And it's changed everything.
Half the stuff we did was theater of the mind. People still ask, did you guys really do this or that? 99% of it, no. But, nobody. Because it sounded great, and it was theater of the mind. It was theater.
John, you mean to tell me you didn't have Brian like standing on top PPG Place dropping watermelons onto the Boulevard of the Allies? That didn't happen?
Well, I remember when Brian started out on the show, then he went by the name of Stupid Guitar Boy. That was years ago.
That's it. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, John, why don't you show everyone what you have behind you? I just noticed what behind you, some gold records from your band days, I guess. And then
I thought you meant this.
I did mean that. Get it a little closer. There. Oh, there he is.
Look at that guy.
That's my Holy Trinity Tiger.
How about that?
8th grade basketball cutout. That was popular back in the day.
Right. What's this right here?
Where I can't. Hold on. Let me take the thing now. What is it?
Right here. Right.
That's my upper fatty chunky thigh. You're making fun of a 13-year-old boy.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
You're making fun of a 13-year-old boy.
Is that the cover of Born in the USA behind you, John, over your shoulder? Right there?
Back there?
Yeah.
It's the Florida state flag.
Oh,
that's a disrespectful place to have it.
What am I thinking? Born in the USA. From here, it kind of looks like it, doesn't it, Brian? No?
It looks a little bit like it. I'm distracted by that good-looking 13-year-old behind John.
And what are these records?
I was a music director of the year for Billboard magazine in 1992, so I have a bunch of gold records.
Well, look at you.
Wow. Well, hey, I wish we had more time to talk about how record labels gave you cocaine to play their music on the radio back in the 80s. But we don't.
That air supply.
Don't.
That air supply money.
What other radio questions do we have?
You know what? Keith Clark, the program director of this show, saying we're out of time.
Keep it off the air.
Right. There was the program director that John and I mutually have no love for came flying into a studio once. I don't know if it was when they had taken you off the B, John, where you moved to Star or what it was, but I don't know what it was. And this guy, he just was the worst of all time and just a seat filler, and came flying into the studio and goes, "What are you guys doing? This doesn't even make any sense." And I remember Bubba saying something like, "We were trying to do something that was out of the box." And he's like, his head starts shaking. He goes, "You know what's outside of the box? A whole lot of nothing."
Yeah, I remember. Do you remember the box that we hid in his ceiling?
Tell Ed that one. Yes, of course.
All right. There was it was a plastic cube that was probably 3 inches square, and it looked like an old-fashioned shipping crate, but it was plastic. And if you touched it, it would start vibrating and shake, and there was a little voice inside, a little recording that would say, "Get me out of here, get me out of here, get me out of here, get me out of here." So we had it on the desk, and you'd walk by and bump the desk, and this thing would bounce around. "Get me out of here, get me out of here." So I don't remember if it was Brian or me, probably both of us, went into our program. We were having a big meeting with everybody after the show. And we had ceiling tiles in this office, and we put this thing up on top in the ceiling, sitting on a tile close to the wall. So Brian would lean back in his chair and bump his head on the wall, and this thing would start shaking up in the ceiling. And all you would hear is, "Get me out of here, get me out of here, get me out of here." So after 5 minutes, this thing's going nuts, and everybody's laughing except our boss, who went nuts.
Yeah.
And he was standing on the chair with the broom, thinking it was somebody upstairs. He's screaming at him, hitting the ceiling with this broom. All of a sudden now, it's not funny anymore when this picture on the wall behind us comes crashing down and glass everywhere. And
you remember the ending of that, right?
Yeah, they called the maintenance person to come in and clean up, and she showed up, and she was pregnant.
And he made her clean up the glass in front of everybody.
Oh my goodness!
This guy is a monster, man.
That's unbelievable.
It was your fault, Brian.
It was a great moment, so I guess I'll take responsibility for it.
That was your last program director, right?
I don't remember.
Was that the last one before they?
I don't remember. I have nothing but good things to say.
Yeah, I really like him. I hope he's doing well. I send all my best wishes to him.
Yes.
Hey, well, John, thank you for joining us. Will you come back on in quarantine and join us again?
I'm finished. You want a song or anything?
Yeah, do something.
You got one more song to take us out?
Maybe. Let's.
And we heard this already. Was this Hotel California?
Yeah, this is Hotel California, one of the greatest songs ever. Just You can fade out. I'll just keep playing.
Okay, you keep playing. John Klein. Thank you, John.
This is the good part.
But there he is, John Klein. Everybody,
There he goes.
John Klein.
There
the
he goes.
Legendary John Dave Bubba Shelley. Honestly though, man, back in the day, there was no bigger show than John Dave Bubba Shelley in Pittsburgh.
Oh, for sure, man. I mean, that was huge, especially with our age coming up through high school and going into college and post-college. And, of course, you were a big part of that, man. And Brian used to call me when we were in college when he was working there at wee hours of the morning, 6, 7 a.m. And being a college kid, I wasn't up and would wake me up for all kind of fun stuff.
That's it. Hi, Kristen. Let's get a little roll call of who's listening, and we'll bring in Ray. Hi, Courtney. Hi, Michelle. Oh, Scott Stoner, Ed, your favorite neighbors. Has he cut the grass yet? Scott
Let me
Stoner.
take a look. No, Scott still has not cut the grass.
He has not. There's Steve. There's Kristen. All right, he's been waiting long enough. I've been watching him in the queue, and I feel terrible. We told him 7:20, and John started playing music on the guitar. But let's bring him in from the Post-Gazette, who covers the Steelers daily. There he is, Ray Fittipaldo. Hi, Ray.
Guys, how you doing?
Good, man. Where are you in a cave right now?
I've been banished to my sunroom, so the sun is going down, and that's the only way I'd be able to talk to you guys in peace and quiet because the kids are going nuts inside.
I was going to say, I've seen some of your Facebook posts. Do you enjoy going into a hostile Steeler locker room better than going into a hostile day of teaching your kids school?
That's the truth, because actually my wife does most of the teaching. I'll dabble like in spelling because, I'm a newspaper man, but I am mostly the cook. So I'll do lunches and dinners, and then I'll go out and do like the recess, at the cul-de-sac basketball hoop. But that's about the extent of my teaching.
Is it driving you crazy?
Yeah. When you're around them most of the day, like I wish we could just like go out and have normal lives outside of this, but when you're cooped up for 24 hours a day, yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what's happening right now at the Steeler organization? I mean, obviously no one's there. You're not there. How is news getting out, news coming in, or is it just the doors are locked?
Their doors are locked. The UPMC Southside facility is not open, not even for coaches. Kevin Colbert, the GM, even Art Rooney, they cannot go inside. That's a league mandate from the National Football League. But they're really the only sports league right now that's doing business as normal. As you know, it's the off season. The draft is about 2 weeks away, and it's business as usual. They're doing video conference calls with the college prospects. From my viewpoint, we're writing stories on these guys. We're doing all kinds of stuff in the lead up to the draft. So it's kind of nice. The NHL, the NBA, Major League Baseball, it's all down right now. And the NFL is kind of, keeping everything going.
It's a bummer as you choke on your dinner, Ray. It's a bummer that it's going to be virtual now this year, because I thought the draft in Nashville last year was freaking great. Like one of the coolest events I've ever seen.
And this year is supposed to be in Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should be even better. How are they going to work the virtual draft? Are they giving you some understanding of how that'll go?
Everyone's going to be holed up in their own homes. So Kevin Colbert, he's got a place downtown. Mike Tomlin will be in his home in Shadyside. So it's just, it's going to be with phones. It's going to be with computers, fax machines. So it's going to be really, really
old school.
A different process for those guys, but they're going to try to make it work. They want their off season to continue. They want to try to be as normal as possible. So once the season does get going, they can just sort of hop in. But yeah, it's going to be much different than it usually is at draft time.
And Ray, a popular subject between Brian and I pretty much in the last week has been, will football be there come September? I mean, I know they announced this week and they came out and said, full mission. Everything's a go right now as we sit here in April. And I think the good news for the NFL is they got time in front of them right now, unlike Major League Baseball and hockey and basketball that are ready to go right now with their playoffs or the start of their season. But what's your gut? What's your feeling right now on the start of the NFL season in early September?
I think they're just in a wait and see mode. I think you guys saw today with Major League Baseball, they sort of put out that test balloon to see what everyone thought of.
Everyone vomited when they heard that.
Yeah, and I got a lot of bad reaction. And I think, that was strategic on MLB's part. Sometimes leagues will do that to sort of leak some news to, ESPN or whoever, and they'll see what the reaction is of the fans, and then they'll make their decisions off that. And I don't think that was received very well. And by the way, there's no way the Major League Baseball Players Association, the hardest of hardline unions in professional sports, is going to go for something like that.
Right.
The idea of bringing every team to Arizona, playing in 8 different stadiums, no fans, and then quarantine them, and older coaches can opt out. I mean, this was out of a bad Mexican dinner nightmare dream from Major League Baseball. I couldn't even believe what I was reading.
Yeah, and I just, and you know how Major League Baseball players are. They're not going to be away from their families for 4.5 months. I mean, if something happens to a family member, the logistics of getting back home, I mean, it was just a bad idea. So I think the NFL is more in a wait and see mode. And the nice thing for them is they've got time.
Right.
If this does die down by July or August, they could have shortened training camps. They could push their season back a week or two if that would help things. They can get rid of the bye week. They'll have contingency plans for what they're going to do. I think early May, first, second week of May, they're gonna unveil their schedule. But I'm sure they're going to have contingency plans. They might even have like a 12-game schedule, a 14-game schedule, sort of built into that too. So they're like every other league. They're just sort of waiting and seeing what happens. And all you can do right now is listen to the government and listen to what the doctors, have to say about this thing.
How about the draft coming up, Ray, for the Steelers? They of course don't have the first round pick, but they have the second round pick coming up, pick number 49, and also 2 4th-round picks in there as well, which I think is kind of intriguing. I don't think a lot of people have talked about that much, that they're going to have the 124th pick and then the 135th pick pretty close together, an opportunity to probably get some talent.
Yeah, I think the way they set up this offseason, guys, is they attacked some of their weaknesses in free agency. So they went out and signed tight end Eric Ebron. So right now, I don't think tight end is a need for them in the draft. They went out and signed a defensive lineman, traded for a defensive lineman in Chris Wormley. They signed a fullback. So they really set themselves up to attack some of the strengths in this draft. This is a great year for receivers. So they can get a guy to complement Juju Smith-Schuster, James Washington, Deontay Johnson, if they want to go that route with the number 49 pick. They could also go running back. I think you guys know as well as anyone, James Conner has been injury prone, and he's entering the last year of his rookie contract. So eventually they're going to have to get a replacement for him next season, if not this coming season, if he has problems with injuries again. So I think it's going to be receiver or running back in the second round. And then I think after that, the third round, the 2 4th-round picks. Yeah, you're right. I mean, they have a lot of different ways they can go there. I think they have 3 picks there within 33 selections. So they're going to be set up pretty nice to attack that middle portion of the draft.
Is there any talk, and I know this is Pittsburgh talk, Ray, is there any talk on a quarterback? I mean, Mason Rudolph, I thought, left a lot of people with their head in their hands this season. Duck, I mean, he's not taking us to the Super Bowl. Is there any talk that you've heard that these guys are not the future?
Well, it's funny. If you read some of the national mock drafts, a lot of those guys will have the Steelers taking Jalen Hurts out of Oklahoma in the second round, or Jacob Eason out of Washington in the second round. You don't hear that much from the local beat writers. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you we're 100% sure that we're going to be right, but everything that Art Rooney, Mike Tomlin, and Kevin Colbert have said this offseason points to the fact that they want to see what they have in Mason Rudolph. They want to develop him more. He's got 2 more years left on his rookie contract. And I think they believe they're fine if Ben Roethlisberger goes down for a game or two, that Mason Rudolph can come in, steer the ship, and hopefully lead them to a couple of wins. Listen, if they get into a situation like last year where Ben Roethlisberger is down for 14 weeks, it's going to be more of the same. But I don't think anyone that you would draft this year, a Jalen Hurts, a Jacob Eason, or any free agent that they might have signed, would have made that much of a difference. I know there's been a lot of talk about Jameis Winston, Cam Newton. Why would those guys come here when Ben Roethlisberger is going to be the starter for
there's no room. There's no room for them here.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I just don't understand the national talk that surrounds the quarterback situation with the Steelers. So my gut is no, they're not going to draft a quarterback, but nationally, some of the national writers think they will.
And Ray, speaking of the quarterback position, Big Ben. I think that's, it doesn't take a genius to say this, right? But, the big question mark going into this season, which Big Ben will we see? Are we going to see, the Big Ben we saw before he got hurt? Are we going to see a Big Ben that comes back stronger? A lot of people say this type of surgery sometimes strengthens the arm. Who knows at his age if he'll be able to do that? But what's your take on Big Ben at this point as far as coming back this upcoming season and how he's going to do?
I think if they were having an off-season program, he would be throwing right now. I don't think they were going to take any chances with it. I think there was going to be a slow ramp up to the season. And right now he's just doing that on his own. He's got a little gymnasium in his own house. He's thrown to Ryan Switzer. I'm sure he's thrown to some of his other receivers if they're in town. And he's just taking it slow. And I think that's probably the prudent way to approach this when you're a 38-year-old and you're coming off that type of surgery. So Kevin Colbert said at the Combine that he thinks Ben can be stronger and be a better player. And I think that has to do with, the ligaments are repaired in the elbow. But I think it also has to do with Ben being rested for a year, not having that wear and tear. So the other parts of his body, the aches and pains, the ankles, the knees, all that stuff is fully healed. And I think if we ever get to a season here, that as long as that elbow heals up, and as long as that's good, I think the other parts of his game, his legs, all that stuff, I think he'll benefit from this.
Right. It's so crazy to think about with the coronavirus and the pandemic and things are being canceled. And Roethlisberger, I think, might be in this category. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ray, but when you think of athletes who are thinking, I'm going to give it one more year, I'm going to see what I can do, but boy, to lose a full season, how many guys in baseball right now are like, this is my last year, let me get my paycheck and get out, and I still have it. Boy, to go another round of conditioning and season and not have your quote unquote last year, even maybe Brady's in that category where it's like, well, I want this potential last year.
Yeah, I mean, think about that. All that, it's like the Olympics, right? All that training
that
those athletes did, and now it's gone or it's postponed a year. And I think all these athletes really are in the same boat. I know basketball and hockey, they're hoping to have a shortened regular season and then a playoffs, but who knows about that? You're right. I mean, it's up in the air, especially for these older guys. Drew Brees, you mentioned Brady, Phillip Rivers going to a new team. How's that going to work out? So it's really interesting how a lot of these, faces of the franchise, faces of the NFL, their careers are winding down, and they think maybe there's one more Super Bowl run left in them, and then this whole situation that we're living through, is leaving that up in the air right now.
Ray, we've talked offense. Let's talk defense real quick. Last season, Stephon Tuitt was having a career season, and not a lot of people have talked about that before he got hurt. I mean, he was on a tear on the defensive line before he tore his biceps, so no pun intended there. But now you get Tuitt back, and the addition of everything else with Fitzpatrick now in there, Nelson. What's your take on this defense? Is this the best defense in the NFL going into next season?
I'll tell you, the way they played once they got Minkah Fitzpatrick last year, if they could pick up where they left off, I think it will be one of the top 3 or 5 defenses in the NFL. I truly believe that. The only thing they have to do is replace Javon Hargrave, and I'm not saying that's an easy task, but he's a nose tackle. And in today's NFL, nose tackles play 25, 30% of the time. So as long as Tyson Alualu, Isaiah Buggs, or maybe they draft a rookie who comes in and holds that job, as long as they can get representative play from the nose tackle position, if they could piece that together, I think this is going to be one of the top units in the league. Now, are they going to get the turnovers they got last year? I mean, that's luck of that's a lucky bounce here, lucky bounce there. They led the league in takeaways last year, but the pass rush is going to be there. The coverage is going to be there. It's been much better. That secondary, Joe Hayden, Fitzpatrick, Steven Nelson came on last year and had a great year. So they got everything lined up for them to be a great defense. And then, it's just a matter of going out there and playing in the games. I think the one thing they do have to improve on, guys, and I think you saw this in the finale against the Ravens, stopping the run. How do you stop a run if you're not going to play a nose tackle? How are you going to stop a run if you're playing 6 defensive backs or 7 defensive backs? They got to figure that out against teams like the Ravens, the Bills, the Titans, those teams that want to jam it down your throat. I want to see how they react to those teams, but otherwise, I'm very high on that defense going into the season.
Ray, what about Hard Knocks? I just saw, is it a rumor or is it official that the Chargers are going to be the team? And I thought with the Steelers coming off a crappy season, Tomlin, coming off of trying to make it work where he was the roller coaster ride of Coach of the Year and Ben coming back and just ratings that the Steelers get, I thought that was a no-brainer. Did they try to fight that to not have that show come in?
I think they did behind the scenes. I think if you remember, guys, a couple of years ago, the Steelers played on Thanksgiving and Christmas, and Roger Goodell called up. I don't know if Dan Rooney was alive at the time or if he called up Art Rooney, but he asked him for that favor because the Steelers were such a big draw on those holiday games that he wanted the Steelers to be a part of that. So they said yes, and they bit the bullet and they played on those holidays. And I don't want to say they bit the bullet again, but they're playing in the Hall of Fame game, and that's an extra week of training camp, and that's an extra week of wear and tear on your players. So I think behind the scenes, I don't think this will ever come out, but I think the Rooney family probably cashed in that favor. Say, hey, we did this for you a couple of years ago. We're playing in the Hall of Fame game. Why don't you do us forward and leave us out of this Hard Knocks mess?
Yeah.
One of the rumors I think I read online. It was like a month or two ago that they were pushing very hard to get the Hall of Fame game because having 5 preseason games, the logistics just wouldn't work out for HBO and Hard Knocks. That pretty much eliminated them from the Hard Knocks talk. So when they got that game, that was pretty much it.
Yeah, and listen, no team in recent history has appeared in the Hall of Fame game and gone on to win the Super Bowl. And I know that's the same for Hard Knocks too. And I know it's a very, small sample size, but it's a grind. And I know it's not going to be a grind this year because training camp is probably going to be shortened. But, you're talking about going up to Latrobe and probably, July 18th or 19th. And then you're going to wait until September, probably 12th or 13th to play a real game. That's a long time. And those players hate that training camp. They might luck out this year because of what's going on, but under normal circumstances, the coaches might like it, but I know the players hate it because they're just stuck up on that small campus for such a long time.
Ray, what do you think of the Derek Watt pickup?
I like it. I know some people were they looked at the salary, and I think they're paying him, if I remember correctly, like $6 million over 2 years or $7 million over 3 years, something like that, which is a little bit steep for a fullback, especially considering most teams, including the Steelers, don't use their fullback a lot. But here's the deal with that pickup. He's a great special teams player. So you're picking up a good special teams player after you lose Tyler Matakevich. And then the second part of that equation is Art Rooney came out and said right after the season ended, I want to see you guys run the ball better. So how do you do that? You put a fullback back there. You draft better offensive linemen. I thought it was key that Ramon Foster retired because he clearly was at the end of his rope. So you get better players in there. you put a fullback in there, you get more committed to the running game, and I think that can mean better things for this offense. Obviously, return of Ben is going to be huge, but listen, he's 38. If you guys remember, John Elway won his 2 Super Bowls. He didn't do it when he was young. He did it when he was old with the running game, and I think the Steelers can try to recreate that a little bit, and if they do, I think it'll be a positive for them.
It's like everything with Antonio Brown to Le'Veon to Ben's injury to Connor going in and out. It's like it's just the puzzle pieces have not met up, but they're there, right? Like I have the picture. I just can't get this corner to fit, and maybe this is the year.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if the defense can give up, like, what was it, 18, 19 points a game, whatever they gave up last year, you got a Hall of Fame quarterback coming back. He doesn't have to be the old gunslinger Ben. He doesn't have to throw for 400 yards. He could throw for 250 and, hand the ball off 25, 30 times a game if that's the formula. I think it remains to be seen what the coaches are going to say, what they're going to do. They haven't come out and told us, and they won't, tell us exactly what their game plan is. But I think it would be really smart, not only to limit Ben's exposure to throwing the ball more, but if you look at the success of the Titans last year, Derrick Henry, the Bills made the playoffs at the expense of the Steelers. Strong defenses, strong running games. I think you could still win that way in the NFL. I know you got to have a quarterback, and we always see at the end the best quarterbacks make it to the championship games, make it to the Super Bowls. But I think a running game can be part of that, and I think if the Steelers commit to that, they could be a better offense, certainly.
Manning did it. Manning did it with the Broncos.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He had barely anything left in that arm, and he won a Super Bowl.
Right.
Ray, have we seen the last of Antonio Brown, or do you think we'll see AB in the NFL again?
Well, who's it? The Cowboys went out and signed that guy Aldon Smith, who had been out of the NFL for 4 years, and Aldon Smith had all kinds of like DUI issues. And he was out of the league for 4 years, and Jerry Jones brought him back. So I think you could see some team, a renegade owner like a Jerry Jones, the Raiders maybe. The Bengals don't seem to care about your background. They've gone on Pac-Man Jones and Perfect. They've hired all kinds of questionable guys over the years. So a team like that probably will take a chance on him. I just don't know if it's going to happen in 2020. He's got all these legal issues hanging over his head.
Just another recent one he just had.
Yeah, there was one the other day they just announced. So I think, some team will do it, but I just don't know if it's going to be this season, guys.
I think what they should do is NBC should have a show where it's Antonio Brown, Terrell Owens, and Chad Ochocinco, and they grade America's Got Talent like contestants, but it's called We're Have More Talent than America. Not a bad idea.
That's the NFL Network every Sunday night, by the way.
I would tune in. I tune in. Hey, Ray, thank you so much, man, for the time, and enjoy at-home learning, and tell Karen I said hi. And Ed, Ray's kids, man, Ray will be covering his own kids in professional sports someday. They are talented athletes, man, and good kids.
Thank you for that. Keep my fingers crossed. I could retire early.
Yeah, we're hoping. We're hoping. Ray, thanks a lot, man. Great to see you. Enjoy the quarantine.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you.
All right, later. There he is. That's Ray Fittipaldo from the Post-Gazette. Ed, I thought you held your own. I'm ready to tell you something. I think you got to get back into sports radio. Or
I know, right?
You look like a sports reporter.
We're ready to go, man. That was fun. Of course, when it comes to the Steelers, I'm all game, man. I could talk for the next 2.5 hours, and we're only in April. We're not even in the season right now.
Yeah.
And Ray's great. And I'll tell you, when the people on TV or radio that I really stop and listen to is guys like Ray or Ed Bichette, the beat writers, Jerry Dulac, the guys that are around the team all year long, I feel know the most about the team. So anytime that there's an article that pops up online, one of those guys do, or you're driving in the car, one of them pops on the fan or DVE or something.
I always want to hear Ray.
I'm all ears to listen to those guys, and Ray echoed that with all the questions we asked them, and hopefully some of the folks out there listening stopped what they were doing and took in what he had to say. It'll be an interesting season. I hope they get to play it.
Hi to Scott. Hi, Kelly. Hi, Mark. Hi, Terry. Hi, Les. Checking out Ray tonight on the show. And Ed, I guess as we get to wrap up, we're 5 minutes away, but I did want to mention that tonight's the night, 8 o'clock. I think it's hashtag light up the night or something. I can't read it. It's too small, but this is, you go out, you show your support for first responders, and you bang pots and pans. Ed Troop, will you be going out in the suburbs and banging pots and pans tonight?
I'll turn some lights on outside if you'd like me to. I mean, I know these people are saving lives. I appreciate it, but I don't know if they're going to hear me out here with pots and pans out here in good old Cecil Township.
Yeah, I live in the woods. I don't know if anyone's going to hear it, but yeah, I'm going to turn on the floodlights.
I'll put some lights on.
Yeah,
show me support.
Maybe a first responder will drive past my driveway and hear me.
Exactly. What those people are doing is unbelievable right now.
Yes. So if you can get out and it's worth it for you, which I think it is, get out and bang some pots and pans, put on your Christmas lights, and let people know that you support our first responders during this time. Hey, Ed, real quickly before we go, because this will mean nothing tomorrow, but just announced an Easter Sunday performance by the one and only, I know you love him, Andrea Bocelli will be live in Italy for Easter Sunday performance.
Wow, that is huge, man. That is huge. I can't wait to watch that. That'll be big. I'm a big fan.
You know, I saw him last year around Christmas time at PPG Paints, and you know, he's blind, and he gets up there, and he's a handsome guy. All these beautiful women come up there and sing with him. And as you're looking around at the women in the audience, by the time the show's over, most of them are naked.
They love this guy, right? Look at him.
Voice of an angel.
It's like you without the beard.
Da, 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 la, 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 la. And people are just, their shirts are coming off. It's pure sex on stage. It's beautiful. But so Bocelli, and I'll get the details. We'll figure out when Bocelli, I know it'll be streamed at some empty auditorium. Now, he is blind, so he won't even know that there's people there or not. So that makes it a little easier for him. And so we can all enjoy it on Easter with Mr. Bocelli. Looking forward to it.
I can't wait, man. I can't wait. That's this Sunday. Can you believe Easter Sunday's this Sunday? And, you know, in the theme of Holy Week and all that good stuff and getting to Easter Sunday, maybe that's what'll turn the tide a little bit with this whole COVID-19 stuff, or at least give people some inspiration and hope this upcoming weekend that there's a stronger light out there leading us down a road to get better with this thing.
I hope so, man. Well, hey, tomorrow on the big show, 7 o'clock here on Facebook Live, we're going to be joined by Brian Butko, the author. He's a Kennywood historian.
Oh, man.
And we're going to be going over, I don't know, should we ask him like his top 5 rides? I know a lot of people have a lot of opinions on their rides. He's an historian, so he can go all the way back to the beginning to today. I think it'd be fun to talk about, you know, since we can't get there this summer yet, we should talk about what the favorite rides are. Mine, I'm not going to spoiler alert it. I've already said it. The Thunderbolt at night can't get any better than that at Kennywood.
I told you, Raging Rapids for me, man. Love the Raging Rapids.
But don't you hate getting your jean? I know you're a jean short guy. Don't you hate getting your jean shorts all wet during the day, and then if they don't dry and your underwear's all soggy?
I haven't worn jean shorts since the Stone Cold Steve Austin days.
We'll bring him back. Bring him back. Well, we'll talk to him tomorrow. We'll go down the line of Kennywood memories, and we'll see what he has to say.
The other big breaking news, man, I read something this evening on Facebook that is Governor Wolf potentially thinking about extending the stay-at-home order past April 30th. Wow. So if that happens, that 31 you see up here in the corner could turn into 61.
We got to rename the show 61 More Days.
So if you've had fun this is our second week. We could potentially have, let me see, 4, 5, 6, 7 more weeks of this show. We're just starting out, man.
I feel like I was hoping we would go, well, we're going to end this once the world opens back up. It looks like we're going to be renewed for another season.
Wonder how many more times Sally Wiggin can come on the show. Maybe we can get her on 4 more times.
Yeah, speaking of Sally, Jeff Reed texted me all night last night after we had him on. And he wanted me to apologize to you that he didn't answer your questions that you asked him.
Ray Fittipaldo did tonight.
Oh, Ray was engaged. You can tell a true pro like Ray, he's locked in, right? And he knows exactly what to say. He's concise. It's great. Jen said, I'm betting we're in through May. Jen, I have to agree with you. I mean, when you look at Virginia, they're in through May. And what was the other one? Is Illinois now in through May? So how could we not be gearing up for another 31 days? And Wolf is very conservative when it comes to this. He was one of the first guys to shut it all down.
No, I agree. And I think it probably is the right thing to do. But there are 2 things that I think could make us feel a lot better. One would be if we start flattening the curve, which it looks like, New York, other places are starting to get near that. A lot of predictions within the next week, a lot of other areas and hotspots will as well. So if we get towards the end of April and things are looking brighter and better and we're staying at home and we're beating this thing and we're getting on the other side of the mountain, coming back down, and there is light at the end of the tunnel, that'll be helpful. And 2 is the weather, man. If the weather can stay nice like we've had the last few days, I told you, when I'm able to get outside in my own yard, and do some work and just get some fresh air, I feel a lot better than a day like today where it rained and I'm stuck inside all day.
And that's probably why I felt so depressed today. When I woke up, I looked and I was like, oh, it's gray, it's miserable. It's got that chill to the air, and you think the kids can't go outside. I don't really want to go outside. It's horrible. Plus, and we'll get into this tomorrow, I have a freaking woodpecker that's been attacking my house now for about 2 weeks. That woodpecker, I'm just going to promise everybody, and I don't know if there's PETA lovers out there, that woodpecker will not survive the epidemic.
Oh my goodness.
Pandemic we're in. No, that woodpecker will be on the list.
Woody woodpecker.
Hey, my friend John said, I miss Penguins hockey and Major League Baseball. I have to agree, man. That's the other thing that bummed me out, John, and we talked about it when we, I don't know if it was Sally or Rick Seebeck or one of these, we only talk to the legends, Ray Fittipaldo, Ed Troop, Brian Carruthers, Sally Wiggins. But 2 things is, one, I am always hope eternal with the Pirates. And I know I know that I have a brain injury. I always feel like this is the year, and Ed knows he's suffered through a lot of phone conversations with me about it over the years. So that's why I love him so much. But the depressing part is Penguins hockey was only halfway through. The Pens look good. Boy, you miss that run, and you lose 1 year of playoffs where you get to see Crosby and Malkin and all those tremendous athletes. That's what's depressing, is that time is still ticking away, even though we're not allowed to do what we do best.
Well, one thing is, too, the local athletes. I mean, we both have small children that put a lot of time and effort into their athletics. But imagine getting all the way to your senior year in high school. You've worked all this time for, and especially the baseball and softball, track and field, that type of spring sports that you might not be able to play your senior season. Basketball, of course, never finished. There were a few local teams that are on their way possibly to a state championship that probably will never happen now. It's tough, man. We're all in a tough spot, but hey, got to keep moving forward.
All right, tomorrow we'll talk to Brian Butko about Kennywood history. Maybe we'll just go top 5, or we'll take your Facebook messages of your favorite rides of all time and see where he puts them. Really smart guy, and he's obsessed with Kennywood. So I like that. I like Kennywood. So we'll talk to him tomorrow. And Ed, we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great night. And what are you doing tonight with the kids, or is everyone in bed?
No, everybody's still up there. We don't go to bed till now 9:30, 10 o'clock. So it's all been.
The nights never end.
One thing I do got to get is some better lighting. And when we start this show out, I don't have any lights on, and you can see me by the end of the show. You can barely see me.
That's what I wanted to ask Ray. Are you in hiding right now? Like, where are you? Like,
I could barely see Ray at the end, but we heard his voice. That's all that mattered.
Yeah, everyone disappeared. Sally, I think people have good room light, and then as the night goes on, like with Sally Wiggin, she completely disappeared. And I think as she was talking about something, she all of a sudden turned around and she's like, "You can't even see me. I'm in complete darkness." And that's what happened with Ray. That happens to you every single night. Now, see, just to give a little rundown, I have behind me, I have a light right here that keeps me nice and bright. You need a light.
I got a light. I just got.
You need some professional lighting.
There you go.
Oh, well, wait a second. Now, Where was this the whole time?
I know, right? There you go. Now you can see
look
me.
Great.
There you go.
Now you look great. Now you look.
But I didn't turn it on at the beginning because it was super bright in here.
I know. Yeah, I get it. All right, Ed. Well, we'll see you tomorrow. Another great night. Great to spend the evening with you, my friend. And I hope you enjoyed talking to Ray. And honestly, man, I think you look like a sports reporter. It's time to get in the game.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it.
All
This is fun. I just want to do this. This is fun.
You're announcing your retirement from life. This is all we're doing. Yeah. All right. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody. Have a great quarantine night in Pittsburgh. We love you, and thanks for everybody who's doing what they do to keep everybody safe. Bye, Ed.
Stay healthy, everyone. Stay healthy.
Later, and have a great night, everybody, from Pittsburgh.